Scott Jennings reveals the biggest challenge for the Republican Party going into the 2026 midterms. Tuesday's elections in Wisconsin and Florida demonstrated something that many of us have been talking about for a very long time, and that's the challenge with low propensity voters. Republicans will come out in droves to vote for Donald Trump, but in elections when he's not on the ballot, they're just less likely than their Democrat counterparts to come out and vote. Here's Scott Jennings on CNN talking. I don't know who this lady is that he's talking to, but she's literally wrong with every single thing that she says, but we'll have to suffer through her to hear Scott Jennings' wisdom.
Trump voters didn't move over to Democrats. Now you don't. You can. You usually do. But numbers are numbers.
I disagree, and here's why. It's a turnout game. And this is a condition of the Republican Party that is true. We now have a party that's made up of lower propensity voters. They tend not to vote when Donald Trump's not on the ballot. They turn out at lower rates, especially when elections are happening at odd times. And this is an issue the party's going to have to grapple with. Democrats have these higher propensity voters who turn out for everything. And I think it creates a mirage of what you just said, that maybe people are switching. I don't think they're switching. I just think the highest propensity voters are turning out. Democrats have a few more of those right now. I mean, that having been said, my advice to House Republicans right now is eat healthy, get on your treadmill, try not to die if you live in a district that's any worse than either of these two between now and next November, or at least now in this summer when we got to pass a reconciliation bill, because it's thin margins. But the Republicans, I think, are going to hold this thin margin and hopefully hold it long enough to get Donald Trump's legislative agenda across the line.
That sounds like a diagnosis of someone who thinks you have some flipping voters.
Anyway, yeah, I was hoping to cut it off before she had to throw in that additional idiotic comment, but it is what it is. He is absolutely correct. Again, voters will come out when Trump's on the ballot, and they just won't. Republican voters, a lot of them, will not come out when he's not on the ballot. This has to be fixed before 2026. I know it was not exactly a close vote in Florida. Okay, the two congressional seats, they were both won by 10 points. But, folks, they were won by like 30 points in 2024. That should tell you something. It's not about voters flipping from Trump to Democrats all of a sudden. And then we look to the good news. There was some really great news in Wisconsin I know that Crawford won, and that really sucks. But even with her winning, Republicans were still, not just Republicans, voters were still able to express their will. And this demonstrates very clearly that Democrats, Republicans, independents, everybody tends to agree that voter IDs just make sense. So even though we might say, oh my God, I heard a lot of people saying, well, it had to have been rigged because Crawford won, but then voter ID won. Folks, reality is this: even many Democrats, a good chunk of Democrats, agree that voter IDs make sense. Just because they're Democrats doesn't mean, oh my gosh, we really hope that voter ID is never allowed because then we can continue to cheat. Don't forget, Democrat voters, a lot of them are really, really dumb. They don't even realize that their party cheats during election time. So to them, they just look at it logically, and it's like, yeah, I mean, I got to show my ID to get like Benadryl. Might as well have to show my ID when voting, because otherwise that's stupid. Republicans have to figure it out, though, before 2026, before the midterm elections, because otherwise it's not going to be pretty. This whole problem with low propensity voters, fix it. Republicans, fix it now.